says, I woke up one night and I looked out the window and I saw this, and you've seen the picture of the Skinwalker with the skins on and all.
Yeah.
She goes, and she described it. She goes, that's what I saw looking in the window, watching all of us sleep.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Paranormal Portal Podcast. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. Thank you all for joining us, and special thank you goes out to all of you who continue to support the podcast and continue to spread the word. Always remember, if any of you out there have experiences of your own that you'd like to share, feel free to email me at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Again, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and you too could be a guest on the show. Hey everybody, we got a great show lined up for you guys today. I am welcoming Cheryl Lynn Carter to the show, and she's an incredible individual who is not only a psychic and remote viewer, she also works on recovering children, lost children, and stopping trafficking. She is a member of MUFON CE5 and an experiencer herself in some UFO phenomena. But she's most of all, she is an incredible author who's written several books, but the two we're going to focus on today have to do with Skinwalker Ranch. One of them is called Digging into Skinwalker Ranch, and the second book she's co-written is Skinwalker Ranch, The Basin Files. So please get ready, because it's going to get amazing. Welcome to the show, Cheryl. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hi, great to be here.
It's fantastic to have met you. Of course, you and I met at Phenomicon when we were in Vernal, Utah, and I was just fascinated just in the short time that we talked when we were discussing a little bit about Skinwalker Ranch. And of course, that was the hot topic there, and it's it was on all of our minds, and it was just really incredible to meet somebody that has such a comprehensive research and knowledge of the place, because I think everybody knows a little bit about what's going on at Skinwalker Ranch, but if you wouldn't mind, how did you get interested in the subject of Skinwalker Ranch?
Well, I met my friend Ryan Skinner, and he says, "You want to write a book with me about Skinwalker Ranch?" I says, "Oh, okay." And he says, "Well, what should we write about?" He goes, "I don't know." He goes, "Go for it. What do you want to write about?" So I says, "Well, I want to know about the history."
Right.
You know, we know about the last two owners.
Right.
But I want to know who are all the other people that lived there.
Okay.
Who are all the other people that lived in the basin? So I did. I searched the records in Vernal, Utah, and I got the land. I got the deeds of everybody that owned that property before.
Mm-hmm.
I found pictures of them. I found out their family, what kind of jobs they had, and they were just regular people.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what was, how far in the history did you go back? Just mostly into the landowners, or are we talking the actual Native American histories as well?
The Native American history, because that land was actually allotted
mm-hmm.
to the Utes. And whatever was left over, they let the white man buy.
Okay.
And so I went all the way back into that to see when all this started, because actually Skinwalker Ranch and the Uinta Basin is right in the middle, surrounded by the Uinta Ure Reservation. They're right smack dab in the middle.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. That's amazing.
Which I thought was very strange that they would just leave a big hole in the middle to sell instead of put them on one side or the other. I don't know how they allotted that.
Yeah. I think it's an incredible history, and I don't know if there's any fact to this at all. But while I was there, somebody had mentioned, there's a possibility that the Uinta Basin itself was formed by a meteor impact of some kind. Had you found anything about that?
I've heard that, but no, I haven't heard anything.
So there's nothing,
seen anything like that. No,
nothing substantial to that. But as far as you know, the history of the basin deals with the Ute tribe then, as you mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what did happen there? Where did the weirdness start, or where did this all begin?
Well, and there was also the Navajo lived there too.
Okay. Yeah.
A long time ago.
Okay.
And there is like a fence line. You've probably seen pictures of the animal skulls and the fur on the fence poles.
Mm-hmm.
So that is actually put there by the natives, and they put that on there to keep whatever is in Skinwalker Ranch inside there and not come on their property.
Oh, okay. So it was more of a what do they call it, talisman kind of thing?
Yeah, it's supposed to keep the Skinwalker away, and the Skinwalker is a real thing. I have a friend who's Navajo, and she's seen one before.
Oh my God!
They don't even like to say that word.
Yes.
It's a bad word.
Yeah.
But yeah, and what a Skinwalker really is, it's a Navajo witch.
Okay. Right.
It's not some kind of monster. It's a Navajo witch that's able to change shape at will. A lot of times they try to be a wolf. I think from people that have seen things, I think that they make you see whatever is your worst fear.
Oh.
Might be a different kind of animal. That's just my idea.
Sure.
But it was the Navajo witch was once a medicine man, and the medicine man have to learn the good way and the evil way.
Mm.
And some chose to take the evil way because it just, I don't know why they felt it was better for them, but it's not.
Human nature, yeah.
If you ever, they had a TV show, what was it called now? There was a Western that was on, and they actually had a Navajo witch on there. I really enjoyed watching that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was back in the springtime.
Okay. Wow.
I can't remember the name of the show right now. Yeah, but it took place on the Navajo reservation.
Sure.
And they had a woman on there that was a Skinwalker, and it was scary.
So you have seen one as well?
No.
Okay. So, but your friend,
I don't want to see one. No, I don't want to see one.
Right. Now the Skinwalker, I don't pretend to know a whole lot about it because, of course, as you say, the people who understand it are very unlikely to talk about it due to the fact that they believe that it summons it or whatever to them. And so, but is just seeing one is a bad omen, correct?
Yeah. I mean, like my friend, she just told me, she goes, "No, I've never told anybody this before, but I'm going to tell you my experience."
Oh. And
she lived in New Mexico at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they lived in a one-room house on the res. And she says, I woke up, oh, phone's ringing. And she said, spam. And she says, I woke up one night and I looked out the window and I saw this, and you've seen the picture of the Skinwalker with the skins on and all.
Yeah.
She goes, and she described it. She goes, that's what I saw looking in the window, watching all of us sleep.
Oh.
Now all their beds were together because it's a one-room place. And she says, and I wanted to grab my father's hand and wake him up, but I couldn't move my hand. I wanted to cry out. I couldn't speak. It had me paralyzed.
Oh, wow.
She says, all I could do was stand there, was lay there and watch this thing watching us. And she says, and I got up the next morning. She says, I was about 5 or 6, and I'm in my coloring book just coloring at the table, and my father comes in and he grabs the shotgun and he says, everybody stay in the house. He goes back outside and she's coloring. I'm a little kid, you know. He comes in and he says, his wife says, what's wrong? And he says, the neighbor just got killed by a Skinwalker last night.
Oh my God.
So that was their.
So it was hunting.
Yeah, and I mean, it's real.
Now, do you believe, and I don't mean to press all of these kind of details because I mean, maybe nobody knows, but do you believe that it's an ongoing lineage, the Skinwalker, or are they kind of I don't know, I don't want to say eternal, but are they believed to be incredibly long-lived and subsisting on some dark force, or do you have any understanding of that?
Well, I think they're humans like us.
Okay. So it is an ongoing a tradition for some people to still observe those.
But people still do it, I suppose,
Right. Yeah, and that's why I'm wondering, because of course I wouldn't suppose that a skinwalker that appeared to the ancient Navajo people would be the same one that would appear to more modern people. So, they are a supernatural being, or at least practicing supernatural practices. So maybe they could be, but I mean, you know what I mean?
Or maybe they create other beings. I mean,
right? Sure. Maybe they can. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because, the medicine man can make magic and,
Right. So
maybe they create something that lives on. We don't know for sure.
So the evolution of Skinwalker Ranch, though, it seems to embody a whole lot of phenomena, not just the Skinwalker itself. And do you suppose that is something about the energy of that place where it's perhaps more prone to things like portals or other phenomena, or is there something else going on there? Do you have any opinion?
It's the whole Uinta Basin. It's not just the ranch, the whole basin.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've heard of Joseph Jr. Hicks.
I haven't personally, no. Could you tell us about him?
Well, he was on a couple episodes of the show. He was a botany teacher in Vernal, Utah. Mm-hmm. And one day he took his students outside looking at plants, and they looked up, and there was a saucer up in the sky. He saw it, all the students saw it, and he was just so intrigued with this experience that he started interviewing people all over the basin to see, did you see this? Have you seen this? And he just got all kinds of stories that everybody was seeing these things, but, who would you tell? So he collected about 400 stories, and he wrote a book. It's called the UFO Display Book.
Oh, wow.
He's got stories. He's got drawings that people saw. So it's everywhere.
That's incredible. But there is something really fascinating going on in that whole basin. And I just wonder what it is, because I mean, there are certainly mystic places on our planet, but that certainly seems to be one of them.
Well, I actually, we talk about I remote viewed to the ranch.
Okay.
And I did see all kinds of strange things. There are still some native people, spirits there that are still interacting.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because they actually talked to me when I went there, so I know it's not just something residual; it's still interacting. I saw two dimensions trying to merge into one.
Oh, well,
so that can cause a lot of
bleed through. Then, yeah.
Yeah, and I know there's things happening under the ground too. There's lots of things happening there.
Yeah, and of course I've most of what I know of the Skinwalker Ranch in the Uinta Basin was from the limited viewing that I had of the Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, but I find it absolutely fascinating what they, even on that show, and I know you got to kind of weigh those things carefully, because anytime you see something on TV, it's not necessarily exactly as portrayed, but I don't know. Just in talking with like Thomas when I interviewed him, he just seems like such an incredibly sincere guy. And he, the sincerity in his voice as he shared some of the things he's experienced and observed, it's just incredible. But it's like a perfect storm. That's what I'm just, it boggles my mind, what could be going on there, and what makes it. I believe that probably these kind of areas, as I said before, are kind of all over. It's not just Skinwalker Ranch or the Uinta Basin, but it makes me wonder, is it something to do with ley lines? Is it something to do with some weird ore deposit? Perhaps an ancient meteorite lies underneath the ground and is creating a weird flux, or, any number of things. And I realize it's wild speculation, but, part of this journey for me is just trying to understand all of these strange phenomena and to make heads or tails of it. And probably because I've experienced so much, but it just makes me wonder.
He wants to study the biological effects and human effects in particular through implementation of advanced technology upon humans. He did experiments on his guards without their knowledge.
As you're digging into all of this and you're writing these books, was there, I imagine there must have been so many things that really blew you away as you started digging into the phenomena or into the area.
Well, yeah, besides, people seeing UFOs, there's been a lot of cattle mutilations.
Yeah.
In the basin too.
What
caused that? You're blaming UFOs, could be something else.
Right. Yes, exactly. And it's funny because now, as you mentioned, that you had the impression that there was two dimensions trying to merge there. Mm-hmm. Maybe that makes sense for some of these cattle mutilations. Like if they just get stuck in the wrong spot and somehow physically it affects them to such a profound way that they're almost torn apart in a real precise manner.
And the big orange orbs, they're the size of basketballs that move around, and what is that?
Sure. And do you have any
paranormal? What is it?
Right. Do you have any insight on what it is, or any personal belief?
I don't. It could be all kind. Is
Sure.
it like a spiritual thing? Is it elementals?
Oh.
I think there's a lot of elementals going on there too.
Yeah.
Which are just creatures, whatever you want to call them, that have just been on the earth forever.
Sure. Yeah, they're energetic beings. Yep. I think that's fascinating because of course we don't hear that term very often except in fantasy, but those are all of those fantasy things drew some inspiration from existing things, and certainly elementals is an idea as old as our cultures, I think.
Yeah. I'm a paranormal researcher too, so I've come across elementals at different places, so that's why I says, it looks like elementals to me.
So you think there's a whole host of them that are maybe active in the Uinta Basin then, yeah?
Yeah. They're just playful. There's nothing bad about elementals. They're just
good.
friendly.
Okay.
Little energy, whatever.
Right. But they are sentient, right? Like they're intelligent.
Yeah.
Okay.
I found it, yeah.
That's neat because, again, that's a topic that doesn't come up a lot, but I'm very fascinated by that because I think oftentimes we're conditioned in our Western thinking that, it's a ghost. And what is a ghost? Well, a ghost is somebody that was alive, and is no longer alive and is earthbound. But I think there's a whole host of things that appear to us in ghostly manners, but they were never human. Mm-hmm. We're never human beings.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's fascinating. But
and they have always been here. Ghosts have only been here so long.
Right. Yeah.
And these elementals, they've been here just since the beginning of time.
Sure.
How could that be? And they're still here. What is it?
And you have actually met with some of the people on the current TV show as well, right?
I've met them all, yes.
And so in your take, and I don't mean to put you on the spot because I do believe that they seem to be a really sincere bunch of people, and I have no doubt that what they're doing is sincere. They're really working on trying to understand what's going on there. But is it your opinion as well that is the case?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And I know Brandon Fugel, and he says 100% everything we do is the truth. We don't make stuff up.
And I really respect that because I think in a lot of our current age of paranormal programming, there's probably, I think people have the best intentions, but I think primarily the production companies make it about entertainment, and they probably embellish a whole lot and create.
Yeah, I quit watching some of the shows because they no.
But I got to say that if on a gut level, and after having met Thomas and stuff, I really believe sincerely that what they're doing there is genuine, and that there is indeed a quest going on there. Now, were you able to dig into a little bit of the Bigelow years there? Yeah,
because it was the interesting thing how he got his contract. 1996, he purchased the 512 acres. In 1999, he founded BASS, Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies. And then, coincidentally, in 2009, James Lukaski and Senator Reid from the government came to visit his ranch.
Oh.
And they were very intrigued about things that they saw up in the sky. And so they decided they're going to put together this contract and have people put bids on it. Now, who bid on this contract?
Mm-hmm.
Was it the Air Force? No. Was it the Army? No. Only one bid was on this contract. Robert Bigelow. What a coincidence, huh?
Well, it might be kind of...
So in 2009, he signed an agreement with the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and he was awarded a 2-year program and given $22 million. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. But no one else bid on this. No.
That's incredible.
He was selected, huh?
Sure. So he owned the property. He bid on the project, and I guess it's a little nepotistic when you think about it. He had the inside track on that one. But interestingly enough, that pretty much everything that was conducted on that property in those years is very hush hush. Like, we still don't really have an idea of what went on, what did they find, what kind of things did they do. Were you ever able to get any insight into that?
I've tried to do many FOIAs, Freedom of Information, and there's other people that do it too. And we've all been told the same thing, that Bigelow made sure that he's got his certain companies, and he made sure that the part where he was setting his information made him a private entity, and so we can't do FOIAs on him.
Yeah.
He's smart.
Very smart, yeah. And I guess, but now it's quite a contrast now since Brandon has become the owner and has basically decided to make it an open book in a lot of ways.
Right.
And I really respect that. I wonder if he got pushback on that from any of those governmental entities or any of the previous owners like Bigelow, like, hey, what are you doing? And I don't know that you can speak to that, but it just occurs to me because still all of those things are sealed or hidden, and we don't know what they found.
Did he find anything? That's my question. Did he really find anything?
It would be hard to think that they didn't, though, just given the obviously that area seems extraordinarily active, and has apparently always been. So I guess
we don't know what kind of experiments he was doing or how he was investigating, something that he gave them 10 points on his proposal, and number 3 was he wanted to use the property that he owned in the basin as a living laboratory. And number 7, he wants to study the biological effects and human effects in particular through implementation of advanced technology upon humans. He did experiments on his guards without their knowledge.
Oh, dear God. Well, maybe that's why it's still remaining sealed.
So what kind of research? Yes. He made them, as a prerequisite for their employment, they had to get an MRI of their brain. Oh. They didn't question it.
Sure.
And then we saw that he was trying to see what the brain would look like when they came in, and then they got another one when they left. Has any of this changed their brain?
Wow.
Yeah, so what was he doing there?
That's kind of spooky.
Was he really researching UFOs or whatever is on the ranch, or are you experimenting on your guards?
Oh, man. Wow. That's pretty dark and twisted when you think about it, right?
And I saw, I've seen lots of the guard reports, and some of the experiments they were doing, they would grow certain plants. Okay, we're going to grow them in this spot, and then we're going to grow these off the ranch. Well, anybody knows that if you have the same kind of plant, you grow it in two different places, it's going to look different when it grows.
Sure, it performs differently.
So
sure.
I don't understand what that experiment was about.
Right. That's a good point.
It was things like that, so it's like,
it sounds like
got all this money.
Yeah, a lot of money, but it sounds like they seem to be pretty aware of the fact that there was something at least atmospherically or energetically unique about that area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
not the kind of experiments I would be doing.
Yeah, I agree. I certainly wouldn't sign up for that because, I mean, you got one shot at this life, and so you don't want to be somebody's test tube guinea pig.
Jeez.
Wow.
Oh, it's whoever it is still with me, and I felt like it was an interdimensional being that was talking to me. Now they come and go.
So I wonder, did you find any reports that anybody had experienced a lot of change through that period, or is that just completely unknown?
I don't know. I don't know people's medical history, no.
Yeah, no, I understand. And I didn't,
yeah.
That's an unfair question, I guess, but I was just curious if anything, even anecdotally came out about that. But, I know that
the one person that I know is fine. So.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, that's good. I wish them the best. I know with Thomas, of course, from the Skinwalker Ranch, cast, he had, of course, that's I don't know, lesion or something that developed between his skin and his skull. And it was, in talking to him, it's kind of, of course they say it was serious on the show, but I don't think, people realize how serious that was, that it was really touch and go for him for a while.
I know.
Yeah. That's just amazing. And that was from him being there and having prolonged exposure, or perhaps from digging. Apparently the ranch doesn't seem to like it when you dig into the ground. And that I find is very curious. Almost like it's a sentience. Like there's a sentience.
Yeah.
Do you think that's possible, that there could be an overriding intelligence to a place like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And why can't you dig in certain places?
Right. What is it that's being hidden or kept hidden? I of course, when you're watching this show and looking into the phenomena, you think, oh, is there like a mothership under there somewhere, from the stars, or what is it? And I think of like War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise, those machines bursting out of the ground. It's like, oh no.
Yeah.
So.
I really doubt that. People are saying that. I go, well, that's what's causing the energy and all that. So I says, oh, you're not a paranormal investigator. You don't know this. What causes all kinds of energy? No, it's not a mothership.
No. Yeah, but when they were doing that LiDAR testing and finding that there was some dome surface underneath the ground there. And I've only seen season 1, so I don't have a lot of...
But that is interesting. What is that under the ground?
Right. Yeah. And God, I just... It's such a fascinating topic because, of course, I think that the one thing that it really seems to validate is the fact that we have a lot to learn. We have this.
That's I always say when I'm investigating something, I go, I get answers, but then I probably get 10 more questions.
Yeah, you know what? I share that with you because before I started doing the show, I thought, well, I can do this. I know about this stuff. And then once you dig in, you realize, oh my God, I have so much to learn. And then the more you learn, the more you realize you have to learn. And it's this never ending, expanding funnel.
And you learn one thing and it takes you this direction and this direction. I want to learn this now and this. And yeah.
I guess maybe it's akin to trying to understand the nature of reality, which I don't know that we're there yet as a species, but, maybe it's like that because tell me what you think, but I've always felt like the paranormal and all this weirdness isn't where reality's falling over itself and tripping up or glitching. I think that it's profound in the fact that it's the breadcrumbs. And if we follow the breadcrumbs, it leads us to more of an understanding about how fluid and dynamic our reality really is. And it's not concrete and static. It's in flow, and there's a rhythm to it, and it changes and expands and contracts, and, you know, all kinds of wonder emerges. And it's like, it's almost like it teaches us, or at least causes us to journey.
I believe it teaches us. I do. And it wants us to know, and that's why you need to keep your eyes open, your ears to listen, and, you know, don't just say, okay, I know what this is. No, just let it speak to you, and, you know, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. So in your experiences and in your quest to learn more about the Skinwalker Ranch, what were some of the most profound things that you took away from your journey into digging into this?
Well, I got some of the guard reports, and one of the guard reports was just absolutely crazy. They were, I guess it was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, mm-hmm. and they're on patrol, and they saw it looked like a man up on top of the mesa. Oh. So they're watching him, and all of a sudden the man kind of fell over, got down on all fours, and it turned into a wolf.
Wow.
I said, what? So the next morning they went up there to look for tracks, mm-hmm. and they saw human footprints, and then it turned into wolf tracks, and then it just ended.
Oh, my God.
Like, where'd the wolf go? Now, what that was, they don't know, but that was just very strange.
Yeah.
One of the many strange things that happened there.
Yeah. It's got to be. It would just have to really reset your whole idea of reality if you were to observe something like that. It's like, mm-hmm. I guess it's like discovering anything else that's incredibly profound, but you're seeing the impossible. And what else is possible then?
Yeah, and you're going, what did I just see? What was that?
Yeah. And where do you go from there? I mean, after you observe that, I guess that's what I would be asking myself, you know, and mm-hmm. and you and I were talking before we started recording, and we both had such profound experiences, and that's something we definitely share, but they are transformative, you know, these experiences, and like to witness somebody fall down onto their hands and knees and become a wolf and run away.
Yes.
Well, I mean, because we have such concrete ideas about what is real, and such concrete ideas about what is not real. And when something like that happens, the paradigm explodes, you know, because logic just fell out of the window.
Well, and there's other stories I've heard of people, like a friend of mine saw this huge orange ball, mm-hmm. like I said, like almost like a basketball, coming toward them, and all of a sudden it turned into a wolf.
Wow.
And they went running.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't blame them. You know, I mean, how do you process that?
You know, then they turn and look over their shoulder, and it was gone.
Oh.
You know, what was it?
Sure.
Was it really a wolf? Was it something, like I said, projecting your worst fears?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know,
right.
What is?
That's a good point.
All the strange phenomena that's happening there. What is it? Is it playing with us?
Well, you know, it's unique. It's interesting that you said that, because that was one of my epiphanies about it, is that it really does almost seem to be a trickster element there, a strong trickster element, because everybody has different experiences, at least in hearing the stories from the show that I did here, and then talking to Thomas. It's like some of the things he was talking about was like, this guy was carrying a meter up the mesa when they were exploring, and he came to check it out, and for whatever reason he was there, and they were climbing up the mesa, and all of a sudden his meter, which was, I think, made to measure, I don't even know what the display was, but it did something impossible, because suddenly, I
saw that. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. He said it suddenly was displaying this man's personal PIN code to his bank accounts. He's like, what? And apparently Thomas looked at it and said, that's not even supposed to be possible. It shouldn't be given a display like that. And then in watching the show and seeing the cell phones going absolute crazy, you know, going through at blinding speed, going through settings and, you know, all of this stuff. And it does seem to have an intelligence, like, I'm aware of you. And it's reveals itself very personally to each person that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it does, I mean, of course there's legends of tricksters going back into, our ancient past, and maybe there's some real merit to that. And oftentimes when we think of tricksters, a lot of people think poltergeist and stuff, but I think this is much beyond that. This is some kind of ancient.
Poltergeist is something that is created from a person.
Sure.
Where it's not even a spirit.
Right. Like it's a projection. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually young women.
Yep.
Would project poltergeist. Yeah, that's not even a real thing.
Yeah. Other than, I know what you're saying. Like, it's not a separate thing. Sure.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's usually
not like a spirit. It's not like a spirit at all.
Right. And it's usually a very short-lived phenomenon, whereas this has gone on for, at least over a century now, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Or two or three or however many we're on now. But, after all of your looking through in this and all of the things you uncovered and put down, do you still intend to look into it further, or is there any plans for more of this?
I'm hooked now, yes. I'm hooked, yeah.
It kind of becomes, it becomes like a personal journey, doesn't it? I guess, understanding or trying to understand.
It becomes a part of you.
Right.
I can't explain.
Yeah.
Once you experience it, it is part of your life.
Sure.
Like when I remote viewed, something followed me home. Who would have thought that would happen?
Oh, okay.
I remote view all the time. I've never had something follow me home. But it was nothing bad.
Sure. But it was
There's
obviously
that old hitchhiker effect there, yeah. But it wasn't knocking on my door at 2 a.m. or moving things around in my house. Nothing bad like that. But yeah, and it was the funny part when I was at Phenomicon. My friend took me out to the stop sign,
mm-hmm.
and we get out, and I heard in my head, "Pick up that rock." It was the same voice that followed me home, and I start laughing. My friend goes, "What?" I said, "It just told me to pick up a rock." I go, "We're standing on a gravel road,
Sure.
And I says, "Okay, which one?" So then I saw a picture in my head, so I look around, and it was a flat oval shaped rock,
mm-hmm.
like about the size of the palm of your hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked it up. I go, "Oh, this was pretty interesting." And the voice said, "Not that one." I'm laughing. They're funny. I said, "Okay." So I put it in my pocket. I said, "I'll give it to a friend." So I looked around. I found another one that looked like that. And the voice said, "Yeah, that one." And it started vibrating in my hand.
Oh, wow.
So I got like a magic rock. I don't know what that means.
Sure.
And why is it? And then when I came home, I got my tri-field meter, and I went out to the backyard where there would be no interference, and the needle was going up to 4.
Wow.
It's a rock. There should be no reading on a rock.
Wow.
Now, what's inside the rock, I don't know, but I don't think I should break it open.
No, probably not.
They might not like that.
Right.
Yeah, so, yeah, why did that rock have a reading?
Why
does it vibrate in my hand?
Amazing.
I wasn't even on the ranch. I was on the gravel road heading to the gate. I wasn't even there.
Huh.
So can you imagine what is there? Do they have more of these kind of rocks?
Yeah, exactly. And what have you looked into the geology of the rock at all?
Well, they would have to break it open to check on it.
Oh, okay.
And I said, "No, you're not breaking the rock."
No, good.
I don't think they would like if you did that.
Right. That's interesting. But it's an intelligence again. Like a part of the basin or the ranch or whatever. Yeah. That's interesting. So do you find that it's commonly with you now, or does it, have you had experiences since, or was it a periodic phenomena?
Oh, it's whoever it is still with me. And I felt like it was an interdimensional being.
Right. Okay.
That was talking to me. Now they come and go. I don't.
Well, as long as they're not harming you, I mean, that's really fascinating. It just seems more of a familiarity at this point, right?
They talk to me about binary code. I don't know what that means.
That's a binary is not a lot of fun. It's pretty dry stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. I go, okay.
Now you had mentioned the hitchhiker effect, and I find that effect is incredibly interesting because it's not only about things following you, but also affecting those around the people that have had experiences. Have you noticed that in your own life? That's sometimes that spreads to people around you?
That's the only thing that's ever followed me home.
Okay.
I investigate lots of other places, and nothing's ever followed me home before. Of course, I always tell it, it was nice to visit with you, but you can't follow me home. Mm-hmm. And I didn't do that when I remote viewed. I didn't think I'd have to do that.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of glad it followed me home because this is pretty cool stuff now.
It is. Have you ever, when you're having that contact, have you ever thought of asking, like, what exactly are you?
They don't tell me.
Okay.
I've seen, when I first saw them, it was like, I thought it was a shadow person. Mm-hmm. But they were actually standing in the shadows. Oh, okay. I don't know. They had like big eyes. Oh. I know it wasn't an alien. But okay. I was describing the big eyes.
Sure.
And like a cloak over them. I don't know what it was. So it didn't feel human to me.
Okay. That's interesting.
But it didn't feel bad. It was friendly. See, I mean, there's so many different things there on that property. What is that?
Right. That's actually what I was going to ask you next was,
yeah,
it's no one thing, is it?
No.
Yeah. It just keeps begging more and more questions. And maybe it's because of our linear thinking. Like maybe it's truly a multidimensional, space and that is perhaps normal for a multidimensional space. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we all, I believe in like the multiverse idea that we share space with other vibrations and overlap and stuff. But I think there are points at which there's bleed through, as these places overlap and stuff, that there's, I don't know, apex points or something, energetic points that maybe cause these dimensions to bleed through more readily. And it makes me wonder if that's not the case for the Uinta Basin itself, is that it's just...
Yeah, ley lines will do that, yeah.
Yeah, like a big nexus of things coming together, both possibly maybe even ley lines and a dimensional fulcrum of some kind. And the interaction creates this perfect storm. And I use that term kind of a lot. I don't mean to because I don't think it's as common. But I also think that there are transient versions of that may appear in a space for a while and then just disappear. And perhaps that explains things like the Flatwoods monster and other weird phenomena that kind of appears for a period of time and then it's just gone, But again, I know it sounds way out there probably to a lot of the listeners, and I apologize, but you got to get out of the box in the thinking on this stuff. It doesn't follow our logic. You can't use traditional logic when you're thinking about these things, can you?
And we are not alone in this world. Anybody who thinks it's just us humans here, there's all kinds of things around us.
Right. Yeah.
And they do interact with us if you're open to it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right. I think there are probably times when they're not as aware of us. But likely, very much the same for us, that, we exist maybe within the same same space, but just, frequency divided. And for the most part, we're not really aware of each other, but in certain points that can change. And maybe, at those points, connections can be made. And maybe that's the design of it all. Maybe at some point all of these vibrations will merge and, maybe that'll be the ultimate, journey of us all. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, to some of the listeners. I know I'm getting way out there, but honestly, you got
I believe the same thing.
and honestly, I think a lot of the listeners will understand and respect that. But I also, I think, we of course have several listeners and there's no right or wrong. we just don't know. But I just love pondering the possibilities of it, because as we learn more about the universe around us, including like quantum mechanics and other esoteric ideals, then we maybe will come to an understanding, and maybe all of this won't sound so out there, but I do think that, we're definitely in a time of transition, and so the momentum of these I don't know, curiosities is increasing. I think that more people are exploring possibilities now than maybe ever before, And
I think that these other things are aware now that, they are paying attention to us. They are trying to communicate with us.
That's a great point. That's a awesome point.
I think that's why we're seeing more and more.
Yeah, no,
that's... maybe we can trust these people. Okay, let's interact with them,
Yeah, and I think you just answered my next question, which was, do you think there's more of this stuff going on, or do you think it's just the fact that people are more willing to discuss this stuff than ever before? Or is it a combination?
I think it's just coming more to light. It's always been around us. Yeah, but everybody's saying, hey, I've been watching Ancient Aliens and all, and then they start watching things. But, that's bringing you out, like you said, to think more directions.
Yeah. It's just absolutely fascinating. And I honestly, I hope you'll come back, because there's so much more that you're involved with that we need to discuss. And I'd love for you to come back and we can do it again and again.
Sure.
But, because we haven't touched on so many aspects of your experience and what you've done, but this was just one, single focal point for the sake of this episode. But I hope you'll come back.
Oh, I would love to. Fantastic.
And can you take a couple minutes to let people know how to stay in touch with you, where to find your books, what your books are, and such?
Well, the two books that I co-wrote with Ryan are called Digging into Skinwalker Ranch. That's mostly about the history.
Okay.
And then we got Skinwalker Ranch, the Basin Files, and that is a lot of the UFO files from MUFON, NORFAC, and we just added a new chapter to it with lots of the Bigelow Guard files that are in the book. And I also have a book called Dimensions, Mysterious Triangles of the U.S.
Oh, cool.
Where we talk about all these crazy things we were just talking about, that it's not just in Utah, it's everywhere.
Oh, fantastic.
I have a website, CherylLynnCarter.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you want to get any of my books, you can get them on Amazon. If you want a signed copy, just message me and I can send you one. I have a ton of books here.
Oh, fantastic. And thank you so much for making the time to come on the show. I just really love talking to you, and I look forward to our next visits.
Yeah, sounds like a good idea.
All right. Thank you, Cheryl. I appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks for being a part of the journey. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us here on tonight's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio, as well as finding us on Twitter. We're on Twitter at Paranormal Portal, PORTL, and we'd love to have you stop by our YouTube page and subscribe and check out our shows there. We got hundreds of shows, Journeys into the Paranormal Portal, so I hope you'll check it out, guys. We're over there at youtube.com/Paranormal Portal, so hope to see you guys soon. We'll be back, of course, for more podcasts in the coming days. So we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out, find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can.